Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Another massive commitment for the Oklahoma Sooners coming out of the 2025 class as four-star safety Omarion Robinson committing to the Oklahoma Sooners. And this fires me up for two reasons. One, just a really good football player in Omarion Robinson, but I think more importantly, an exceptional fit in this Oklahoma defense. You look at Omarion Robinson, the physical traits that this kid brings to the Oklahoma defense. He was born to play that cheetah position. And you look at that cheetah role for this Oklahoma defense, you need kind of premier athletes that can do so many different things. I look at Omarion Robinson and say, one, elite in man coverage. You are talking about a skill set of exceptional short area quickness. And you look at that cheetah role having to really kind of play in some man coverage against some elite slot wide receivers. And Omarion Robinson can certainly hold up in that. He excels in that short intermediate zone coverage look where he has his eyes on the quarterback, breaks on the football, and then talk about tackling in space. A guy like Omarion Robinson can come up and give you that run support as well, especially as he kind of fills out that frame. And so two things that I like is, one, you're getting a good football player, but more importantly, and we've been talking a lot about this on the recruiting trail the last couple of weeks, getting guys that fit what you want to do on the defensive side of the football. A lot of people just like to go star chasing and don't think as much about the fit in terms of the scheme. You look at Oklahoma and say, hey, we're going to go get guys that not only are good football players, but fit what we want to do on both sides of the football. Omarion Robinson, I think, really does check that box. Fired up to get into the film. Before we do, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys, to the Oklahoma fans. It's been a blast the last couple of weeks talking this program. You guys continue to show a ton of support to the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Omarion Robinson. And before we dive into the film, let's just talk about the physical traits that this kid brings to the table. One, exceptional in the special team game. I think I saw on the film at least 7 returns for touchdowns, whether kickoffs, whether punt returns. And what you see on these returns is kind of elite movement skills. I mean, the short area quickness, the ability to make people miss, how to vary his speeds, and all of that stuff translates to that defensive back role where you are responsible for oftentimes mirroring elite movers on the offensive side of the football. You feel like Omarion Robinson certainly can do that. I think the second thing I really like is kind of the ability to close the gap between himself and pass catchers and ball carriers. Again, we kind of talked about the short area quickness. He is a guy that can close on throwing lanes exceptionally well. And you look at that cheetah position, that's kind of what you're responsible to do. And I think Omarion Robinson does a really good job of that. And getting into the film, a couple of different things to look at. And I kind of cut up the film a little bit to kind of show why I think he really can play that cheetah role first, kind of playing that nickel role in man coverage. Omarion Robinson's a guy that really, really hard to create separation with. And you see him playing this nickel role right here. You fire up the film and say, this is a guy that consistently makes throwing windows extremely hard. He's good off the line of scrimmage, can kind of disrupt wide receivers in their route patterns. But again, just a fluid mover that is consistently in the hip pocket of wide receivers. And if you can consistently make quarterbacks, wide receivers kind of complete these kind of throws into tight windows, that's the recipe to winning a lot of football games. Omarion Robinson certainly can hold up there. You take a look at some other things that he really likes. I mean, operating in those short, shallow zone coverage looks where he is keeping his eyes on the quarterbacks, cutting off throwing windows right here, kind of similar look right here where you're operating in that nickel role, but I'm going to keep my eyes on the quarterbacks. I'm going to know what's happening in front of me. And then when it's time to break on the football and close down on some of these throwing windows, again, Omarion Robinson, really, really twitchy, has the ball skills, has the instincts to do that. You take a look at that rep one more time. It's just really, really good instincts and movement skills from Omarion Robinson. And then you talk about the versatility. And this is a safety that can excel at and by the line of scrimmage. He can also play that deep safety role where he is keeping his eyes on the quarterback and just always seems to be in the right space at the right time, playing in the back end of a defense. And you look at Zach Alley, and one of the things that we are so fired up about what he brings to this Oklahoma defense, putting safeties in that spot to really control the middle of the field and take away the football. You look at Omarion Robinson, again, kind of a tip drill right here where he's kind of diagnosing what's happening in front of him. And this isn't a coincidence. I mean, you see Omarion Robinson consistently in the right space at the right time. You kind of fire up this film again right here, keeping his eyes on the quarterback, diagnosing what's happening in front of him. It's not a coincidence that you see the ball skills in him at the right time, at the right place, and then you see the juice on the return. And I mean, for the Oklahoma fans, we got to talk about what he can do in special teams as well. When you talk about these movement skills, it really shows up on the film as a punt returner as well, right? The ability to vary his speeds, the ability to get in and out of his cuts. This stuff is going to translate to the defensive side of the football. You are getting just kind of, at least in my mind, a born playmaker for this Oklahoma Sooners defense. And again, Zach Alley is going to consistently put his defensive backs, particularly those safeties, in a lot of opportunities to go take the football away. Omarion Robinson is just kind of one of those playmakers that you want in the back end. You take a look at the class in 2025, a couple things that fire me up. One, I like this safety class. You know, you scroll down to what Oklahoma has brought in the safety room. I kind of want to talk about Marcus Wimberly and Omarion Robinson just kind of balancing each other out really well. One, two kids from the state of Arkansas. It's nice to see Oklahoma go into Arkansas, grab some of these top players. You look at Marcus Wimberly, a guy that can come up into the box, is going to be really, really physical in the tackle box. You look at Omarion Robinson, this is one of the elite safeties in terms of coverage, in terms of mirroring wide receivers. He's a guy that, yes, he can operate in zone coverage, but he's also a guy that can come in and play that man coverage. And you have safeties that can hold up in man coverage. It lets your defense do so many different things. I think Omarion Robinson is one of those guys. Love the football player, love the fit in this Oklahoma defense. But at the end of the day, at Oklahoma, you're getting a difference maker in the back end of this defense. We'll cut it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all